Hey guys, Human for Scale here. Most artists have probably heard of AI art tools by now. There's a lot of talk in industry about the ethical ramifications and the impact to art in general. But I'm here today just to take one of them, Layer.ai, out for a spin because I really just want to see what it can do. So, Layer's claim to fame is the ability to integrate into your existing workflow and it really accelerate using AI art tools in a kind of more ethical way. The platform lets you train custom AI art styles using your own art assets, so be it your companies or your own art assets that you're making, and you can also use their pre-existing models to kind of define a art style overall. So today I'm going to try to make an item asset for a really classic game item, a red healing potion. And I don't claim to be the best artist. In fact, I don't think I'm really that great, to be honest. But I'm kind of set in my existing workflow, so it'd be really cool to see if I'm able to adapt it to some of the new, more AI-driven ones. Here I'm using Adobe CS5. I'm kind of a dinosaur. I still don't have Creative Suite. I didn't really want to pay the license, so you're stuck with kind of the older tools here, so I don't have the newer stuff like Firefly going on. But I'm drawing the healing potion. You can see the sketch that's going on right now. Got the cool bottle, got the liquid, drawing the cork in there right now. Got a little bit of transparency. And yeah, you kind of have a rough sketch over here. Gonna probably clean this up a little bit. But really, I've got the sketch now done, and normally this would be just a sketch. There needs to be more. So I'm going to go ahead and block in colors real quick. And you can see, I think right now I've probably spent a minute or two so far on the entire piece. I think normally if I were to ballpark what a asset like this would take, and once again, I'm not the best artist. There's probably people who can do it faster than I can. But I'd probably say that, if I really wanted to render this whole thing out, it would take me a good maybe 4 to 8 hours to get something that's really, really nice, that's production ready. So we're going to really see if Layer can make that faster. So here I'm going to go ahead and get a deeper red, color in the liquid. I'm using a hard round brush over here with some opacity um, to give myself a little bit more flexibility with the lines and the sketchiness. But overall, pretty simple looking item. You got some bubbles, you got the red liquid, and you got it all over here. So I think it's just about done. Let's go ahead and save things out and then take it into Layer. So we're over here in Layer. This is the web canvas that they've got. I'm going to go ahead and make it bigger. Going to make it 1024 by 1024, which is the size of the asset that I just drew earlier in Photoshop. Going to go ahead and grab it. I've got the colored version right in there. I'm going to actually zoom out. Canvas is entirely web-based, so I'm just using my mouse here. Going to go ahead and select the entire area. And going to click on the layer with my asset on it and then hit create variations. In this prompt area over here, I'm going to basically type my prompt and select my style. I'm going to select the Game Icons V2 style. This is one of their default styles that works actually quite well for making any kind of inventory icon. And I'm going to go type what it is. I find that it's actually much easier to basically draw the sketch out and then start describing it. A lot of times I see people just describing stuff from scratch and they don't really know what they're looking for, but I find that this kind of like really basic sketch lets you figure out what visually you want the end piece to be. So I'm going to go ahead and type stuff in here. I'm bad at typing. Basically, I'm going to make it a round glass potion bottle. It's half filled, bubbling red liquid. It's capped with a brown cork. Just trying to be as descriptive as possible. And then I'm going to go ahead and hit the forge button. I'm going to keep the strength and the similarity at 50%, just to kind of keep it at default levels and kind of see what it generates from there. So it does take a little bit of time, but that's the perfect time for me to take a swig of water or to go reply back to somebody on Slack or Discord. And you can see now it's generated some red potions that match my sketch pretty well. In fact, they probably did better. I'm going to go ahead and forge again just to take another peek at what else might be there. And certainly the visual fidelity of these generations is much better than what I could make in this given amount of time. So that's actually one of the more exciting things about this space is that, I could sit down and make these assets myself. It would take a while. I'd get references for the liquid and the glass and the cork and everything, but I could do it. But I think this one looks pretty good over here. Now that I've generated over this asset, I'm a little bit unsatisfied with how naked the stem of the potion is looking. If you really want to sell a healing potion, we should get a little bit of green in there because green always kind of means health. So what I'm actually going to do is draw in a little kind of like a rope or a string around the neck of the bottle to kind of anchor the whole asset, and then also add in some green in there. So you can see I'm actually using the web canvas tools here that Layer provides, and I'm just using my Wacom tablet. It's not like the greatest experience in the world because you don't get pressure sensitivity like you do in Photoshop and everything, but I can roughly block stuff in. So I'm going to add a little leaf here that I've attached via the string. Gonna go ahead and color that in. It looks like kind of ugly, but the magic of AI is that it'll hopefully look better after I'm done. And you'll notice here that's actually on a new layer now. So now it's on layer 1 above my potion 2.jpg layer. So I'm going to go back to my prompt. I'm going to add a woven brown string tied around the stem. I believe that's what it's called, the neck of the bottle. Either one would work. And let's go ahead and forge again. So we'll let that run for a little bit, and you'll see that I've got a couple of different options here. I've got a naked one, I've got one that's on a really thin string with a little leaf like that. I've got one that doesn't really make a whole ton of sense. Going to hit forge again, see what else it spits out. Got a couple of ones, and what I notice here is that all the leaves are kind of round, and I don't really want round. I kind of want more of that maple leaf kind of thing. So what I'm actually going to do is crank up the similarity slider here, and what that does is that it makes the model more closely imitate what the in-painting looks like. So you can see now I've got a couple different variations that look much more close to the shape that I drew before. So I'm going to go ahead and hit forge again just to get another kind of try at it. And I've got a couple good options here again. Going to click around. Yeah, that one looks pretty good. So I think I'm pretty happy with that. It's on its own layer. I can disable it, the web canvas, and you can kind of see like the portion that's painted in. So I'm pretty okay with that. I'm gonna go ahead and make sure that everything looks good here. I'm gonna go ahead, click off, hit accept, and now it's its own layer. So I can toggle that on and off, and you'll see that it's kind of two separate layers I can export individually. Now, speaking of that, this is a game asset, so I need to kind of make sure that it can actually be usable in a game or a UI. I'm going to go ahead and remove the background. So I'm going to click on the potion layer and remove the background here, and that'll get rid of the white background. It's going to run for a little bit. So that looks great, but then I've also made a mistake here, and I forgot to remove the background for this little string with a leaf on it as well. Luckily, the tool is quite forgiving, and I've removed it here. So now I actually have two transparent assets. So I can even make two assets out of this, right? I can make a potion and a potion with a leaf. You could see how in a game I can make a potion with like 3 leaves or a bigger leaf to make it more apparent that the potion is more powerful. But that all looks good to me. What I'm actually going to do is download as a PNG, and then download again as another PNG for the separate asset. I'm going to take both of those back into Photoshop. I'm honestly just more used to drawing in Photoshop. I'm sure you can actually do this within the web tool as well, but can't teach an old dog new tricks. So I'm going to go ahead, move my old assets into a sketch layer underneath, hide that, and then bring in my new stuff. So now you can see I've got two separate layers. I've got the base PNG and I've got the new one. And as I zoom in, there's a couple things that are wrong with it that I can see. I want to kind of change the highlights. I want to add some shadow, and the leaf is just kind of sticking out of the string that I had earlier, and the string has a little bit of deformation kind of around it. So I'm going to go see if I can fix that. What I'm going to do here is I'm going to go ahead and use multiply to add a little bit of a shadow underneath. Going to go ahead and select the bottle so I don't paint outside of it to keep the asset transparent. Now I'm going to add some highlights. Because while I like the highlights that the bottle had, I wanted the red to be a little bit more vibrant. Just want this to pop a little more, because if this is going to be an inventory asset, it just needs to look really shiny so that the player wants to, collect or use it. Add some highlight onto the rope. Might not keep that. It looks a little like it's glowing a little too much. But you get the idea here, is that Layer has actually done most of the work for me in terms of the rendering. So I'm just kind of here doing the last minute adjustments. I think this green is probably too green, so I'm going to try to tone it down to a more natural green color, because leaves usually aren't bright turquoise green. Going to give it a little bit more of a earthy yellowish kind of tone here. Adds a little bit of green back into it. Looks like I've colored over the rope, so I'm going to go ahead and fix that. And once again, I don't claim to be the best artist. In fact, I'm probably not very good. I'm going to go ahead and start maybe putting a little of a green stem on here. I've also got to get rid of kind of this extra rope bit that got kind of drawn in, so I'm going to go ahead and get rid of that real quick. I probably could honestly pipe this back into Layer and ask it to fix it for me, but for the sake of just giving this a test run on the first try, I'm just going to go ahead and draw it back in myself, because I know I can do this. But I think if I were more comfortable with the tool over time, I'd probably give it a try just purely in the web interface. But I'm trying to see if I can get the rope to connect over the stem of the leaf a little bit better, or more how would it be in reality. I'm adding some shading back in here that got kind of blasted out by my experiments earlier. So now that we've got a stem sticking out of one of the little segments of the rope, it's probably not actually how it works in reality, to be honest. I probably have to go back and fix this. But for the time being, you can kind of see how I'm integrating this into my workflow, where I'm basically letting Layer do a lot of the work for me in terms of the rendering and everything, but I still get an asset that looks very close to what I was envisioning with my sketch. Because my sketch was basically telling me hey, I want a round potion bottle with some liquid in it and a cork, and now I've got something that probably would have taken me multiple hours to kind of render out. Moving to a black background just to kind of check the transparency here. Everything looks good. And I'm looking from far away now, and I realize that, that leaf looks kind of janky. So I'm going to probably go back in and fix it. If I wanted to, I could probably export this PNG and then go back into Layer and then ask it to basically re-render it for me instead of redrawing it manually here. But for the sake of just kind of seeing if I can finish this all up in one go, I'm going to go ahead and just kind of redo this area myself. Basically what I'm aiming for here is that the leaf will be tucked under the rope rather than kind of sticking out one of the cords. So I'm just going to go ahead here and kind of tuck it under there. And then I'm probably going to have to erase parts of the leaf a little bit, just because it's sticking out at an odd angle that wouldn't really work in reality. So I'm merging some layers to make it just faster. I think if I were trying to do this in a production setting, I'd probably be cleaner about it. So just kind of taking a little pass here, getting rid of the excess leaf that's poking out, kind of cleaning that up, fleshing out the rope a little bit more now that it's kind of going to be tucking in a leaf, rounding it out so it doesn't look so unnatural, and then going ahead and cleaning a couple more things up. Going to put a little bit of shadow underneath just to make it feel like it makes sense that the leaf is underneath, so put shadow under the little string cord here. It's too dark, but then fixing it up, and you can see these are all minor touch-ups. I strongly believe that with a lot of these kind of AI tools, they tend to make mistakes when they generate, but a lot of these mistakes are things that any decent artist can go ahead and fix up later, but they do take care of a lot of the painful work of just having to render all this glass and the reflections and the texture on the cork, things that just would normally take a bunch more time. So with that being said, I'm pretty happy with this. Timer wise, I'm looking at under 15 minutes. I didn't speed up any part of this video, and this looks pretty good for a 15-minute asset. So yeah, that's using Layer to make a healing potion. Thanks everyone.